The day has come for me to finish my server rack. So today we're gonna put it all together and we're gonna stick some equipment in it. Well, let's get to work. First things first, I'm just gonna clean up. I made a little mess by cutting those holes in drywall for exhaust and intake vents. Now I'm just measuring this air filter box to find the center so I can cut the hole out for the intake pipe. It's a whole lot easier for me to do this now rather than do all that when the rack is all assembled. Here I just put some tape over, draw a circle and drill a hole so I can use my jigsaw to cut the 6-inch hole for the intake vent. Now that the hole is cut, let's peel this tape off, clean up all this metal shavings. I use the node file to clean up the edges of the hole so I don't cut myself. I insert the vent, and now I'm making those cuts so I can actually bend those tabs over to hold that vent in place. I'm just using a little bit of tape to seal off those cracks that might be there. Also, this box is spot welded. It's not welded all the way through. So I'm using a little bit of tape to seal off the cracks so I don't grab the unfiltered air. Now we're just going to install our bottom sliders. Those sliders are rated for 500 pounds. One down, 7 more to go. Here I'm grinding a little bit because the bolt's a little bit too long and it was catching the slider. Here's the bottom shelf. First I'm going to install 4 bolts on each end. And then I'm going to go over and install the rest of the bolts. And the holes on the shelf are actually threaded, so all I have to do is just screw those in. Now I just use my impact to lightly tighten those up. I'm gonna go back and tighten them by hand. And here I'm trying out, make sure that the slider rides smoothly. These are the rubber bushings, and the reason I decided to put those because actual frame is attached to the wall directly, and when you have a bunch of equipment with spinning fans and hard drives, it generates a lot of vibration. Those should help from transferring that vibration to the wall. Now I'm installing the plate for the turning bearing thinny seats on because metal on that thing is too thin and it will probably bend under weight of the rack. Here you can see me just putting all the missing bolts to hold the rack rails in place. Each bolt represents 1 U, and I have 16 U rack, so that would be 16 bolts on each rail. Now that I have all the rails installed, we're just going to slide that rack on top of the bottom shelf. That thing is actually pretty heavy, so I struggle for a little bit, trying to be careful not to scratch the paint. And here I'm just going to secure them with the bolts to the bottom shelf. And here I pre-assembled the top shelf, and here you see me lifting that thing up and putting it on top of the rack and securing it to the rack. And then I'm just gonna slide those out. Now I'm just gonna secure with the bolts, and it should be ready to go. Now that I have it secured, I'm just gonna secure the rails to the frame. Here you see me grinding some of those bolts because they were too long and the slider were catching them. And at this point, the racks are assembled and they're ready to receive all the equipment. Thank you for watching part 2 of my homemade DIY server rack / AV rack.